Right now, while thousands of people are rushing to Costco to grab the same 50-pound bags of white rice and overpriced freeze-dried meal kits, something far more valuable is quietly disappearing from the shelves, and almost nobody is talking about it. These aren't the products showing up on every prepper forum or trending on social media. In fact, they're the opposite. They're the overlooked, underhyped, nutrient-dense bulk staples that Costco is slowly phasing out, replacing them with smaller sizes, cheaper alternatives, and higher price tags. And here's the thing, once they're gone, they're gone. History has shown that when Costco pulls a product, prices for that same item elsewhere can double or even triple almost overnight. In this video, you're going to learn exactly which 11 Costco essentials are on the chopping block, why each one is worth far more than its price tag suggests, and how to build a smart, rotating stockpile that keeps you fed, healthy, and financially ahead, no matter what happens next. So if you've ever wanted to prep smarter instead of just spending more, this video is going to change how you shop forever. Stay with us until the end, because the last section alone could save you hundreds of dollars in the months ahead. Welcome to Food Decider, the channel where we help you make smarter food decisions every single day. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and make sure you like this video so more people can find this information before it's too late. Now, let's get into it. Let's start with something most people never think about when they walk into Costco. That store isn't just a warehouse, it's a living, constantly shifting product ecosystem driven almost entirely by profit margins, supplier relationships, and sales velocity. And when a product doesn't move fast enough, or when a supplier raises their prices, or when Costco decides they can squeeze more margin out of a smaller, cheaper version of something, that original product vanishes, sometimes overnight. This is called the discontinuation cycle, and if you've shopped at Costco for any length of time, you've probably experienced it firsthand. You find something you love, you count on it, you build meals around it, and then one day you show up and it's just gone. No warning, no announcement, just an empty shelf where your favorite product used to live. What makes this especially frustrating is the pattern of what gets cut. It's rarely the junk food. It's rarely the high-margin processed snacks. The first things to go are almost always the premium, organic, bulk format staples, the ones with the best nutritional profiles and the most honest ingredient lists. Why? Because those products cost more to source, they appeal to a smaller segment of shoppers, and they don't generate the kind of rapid turnover that Costco's model demands. So the organic coconut oil in the giant tub gets replaced by a smaller conventional jar. The real organic tomato sauce makes way for a cheaper additive-filled version. The bulk oats get cut in half in size and bumped up in price, and shoppers who depended on those products are left scrambling. Now, here's where most people make a critical mistake. When they hear the word prepping, they immediately think rice, pasta, canned soup, and maybe some bottled water. And look, there's nothing wrong with those basics, but they represent only one dimension of food security, and it's the least interesting and least nutritious one. White rice fills you up, but it gives you almost nothing in terms of complete protein, healthy fats, micronutrients. Pasta is cheap, but it's essentially empty carbohydrates, and canned soup from a generic brand is often loaded with sodium, preservatives, and very little actual food value. If you're eating those things in an emergency situation, you'll be full but increasingly malnourished, and you'll be eating the same boring meals on rotation until you can't stand the sight of them. The problem with mainstream prepping is that it focuses entirely on calories and convenience while completely ignoring nutrition density, meal variety, and long-term palatability. And ironically, it also tends to be more expensive per nutrient than the smarter alternatives hiding in plain sight at Costco right now. So what actually makes a pantry staple worth stockpiling? There are 4 things to look for, and every single item on today's list hits all 4. First, it needs a long shelf life, ideally a year or more, with proper storage extending that even further. Second, it needs to be calorie and nutrient dense, meaning it gives your body real fuel, complete proteins, healthy fats, fiber, and vitamins, not just empty bulk. Third, it needs to be versatile, able to play multiple roles across breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and baking. And fourth, it needs to be priced at a genuine bulk discount right now, with a clear risk that the price will spike significantly once Costco pulls the plug. So keep those 4 criteria in mind as we go through each item, because they're the reason this list is so different from everything else you've seen. These aren't just foods that store well, they're foods that work hard for you every single day, whether you're eating from your stockpile in a crisis or just saving money on your regular weekly.
Fat is calorie dense. It's essential for brain function and hormone production. It makes food taste good, and it's one of the hardest macronutrients to source in a disruption scenario. Most prepper pantries are dangerously low in quality fats, which means people are loading up on carbs and protein while ignoring something their bodies genuinely need. The coconut oil specifically is remarkable for a few reasons. At room temperature, it's solid, which means it needs no refrigeration whatsoever, a huge advantage if you ever lose power for an extended period. It has a smoke point that makes it suitable for high heat cooking. It can be used in baking as a butter substitute, and it can even be used on skin as a moisturizer in a pinch. The 84-ounce organic tub currently costs around $16.99 at Costco. When Costco switches to a smaller, conventional version from a new supplier, that same quantity sourced elsewhere will run you $48 or more. That's not an exaggeration. That's the current going rate for comparable quality online. The olive oil situation is equally important, and for a slightly different reason. Olive oil fraud is genuinely rampant in the United States. Studies have repeatedly shown that a significant percentage of olive oils sold as extra virgin in American stores are diluted, oxidized, or outright mislabeled. Kirkland's olive oil is one of the rare brands that consistently tests as authentic extra virgin, which matters both for health and for flavor. At $14.99 for 2 liters, it's a steal. Stored in a cool, dark location, it holds its quality for 18 to 24 months unopened, and its uses go well beyond the frying pan. It's ideal for salad dressings, preserving certain foods, and even as a lamp oil in a genuine emergency situation. Both of these products are being phased out in their current form. Stock them now, store them properly, and you'll have years' worth of high-quality fat at today's prices. Moving on to what is arguably the most important nutritional category in any food stockpile, protein. And the 3 items here represent a combination that is so complete, so affordable, and so shelf-stable that it frankly embarrasses the freeze-dried protein buckets that prepper websites sell for hundreds of dollars. First, Kirkland Signature Organic Peanut Butter, the 2-pack of 28-ounce jars. What makes this specific product special is what it doesn't contain. No palm oil, no added sugar, no stabilizers, just organic peanuts and a little salt. That simplicity matters because it means the protein and fat content is genuine and uncompromised, and the shelf life when stored cool is measured in years, not months. At $9.99 for 56 ounces, you're getting an incredibly calorie-dense, satiating, versatile protein source for less than 18 cents per ounce. When Costco downsizes to smaller jars, the cost per ounce will jump to somewhere between 21 and 25 cents, which doesn't sound like much until you're buying in bulk over time. Second is Kirkland Signature Organic Quinoa, and this one is genuinely underappreciated even among people who eat well regularly. Unlike most grains, quinoa contains all 9 essential amino acids, which technically makes it a complete protein source, a distinction that almost no other plant food can claim. It cooks in about 15 minutes, which is significant because it means you're using less fuel than you would for dried beans or long cooking grains. It works hot or cold, sweet or savory, and it stores for years in an airtight container. At $11.99 for 4.5 pounds at Costco versus $28 or more elsewhere, the value is obvious, and once it's discontinued, that price gap only grows. Third in the protein category is the one that might seem the most obvious, but is actually the most underestimated. Kirkland Signature Organic Black Beans, the 8-pack of 15-ounce cans. Here's why canned beans beat dried beans for a stockpile in almost every practical scenario. They require no soaking. They require no long cooking time. They don't require significant fuel or water to prepare. You open the can, rinse them, and they're ready to eat, cold if necessary. Each can delivers an extraordinary combination of plant-based protein and dietary fiber, making them one of the most nutritionally complete convenience foods that exist at any price point. 8 cans for $8.99 right now. After discontinuation, expect to pay double at comparable quality. Stock these generously. They're too valuable not to. Now, let's talk about the items that turn individual ingredients into actual meals. These are the meal bases, the products that give your pantry depth, flavor, and nutritional complexity that goes beyond just eating beans and rice out of a pot. Kirkland Signature Organic Tomato Sauce in the 12-pack of 15-ounce cans is one of those products that sounds completely unglamorous until you think about everything it enables. Pasta sauce, obviously, but also chili, soup base, shakshuka, braised beans, rice cooked in tomato broth, homemade pizza, stuffed peppers, lentil stew. The list goes on for as long as you're willing to be creative. The organic version at Costco has a clean ingredient list with no added sugar and no mystery preservatives, which makes it meaningfully different from the standard grocery store versions. The natural acidity of tomatoes also acts as a natural preservative, meaning the actual usability of these cans extends well beyond the printed best by date. At roughly $1.08 per can in a 12-pack, this is pantry gold in its most literal form. Kirkland Signature Organic Rolled Oats in the 10-pound bag is a product that deserves far more credit than it typically gets. Oats might be the single most versatile grain in
Breakfast oatmeal is the obvious use, but they also make overnight oats that require zero cooking, homemade granola, a flour substitute in baking, a binder for meatballs or burgers, a topping for fruit crisps, and a thickener for soups and stews. And the shelf life, when properly stored in a food-grade bucket with an oxygen absorber, extends to 30 years. 30 years. That's not a typo. For $9.99 for 10 pounds, you are buying the most calorie per dollar, versatility per dollar product on this entire list. The impending size reduction and price increase make this one of the most urgent buys right now. Kirkland Signature Organic Chicken Stock in the 6-pack of 32-ounce cartons is the quiet workhorse of flavor and nutrition that most people completely underestimate in a storage context. Cooking your grains, quinoa, oats, rice, in chicken stock instead of water adds a layer of flavor and genuine nutritional value that transforms a utilitarian meal into something you actually want to eat. It adds collagen, minerals, and depth that plain water simply cannot replicate. In a long-term eating scenario, the difference between food you tolerate and food you enjoy is more important than most people realize. At $8.99 for 6 large cartons with an 18-month shelf life, this is one of the most cost-effective upgrades you can make to your entire pantry system. And finally, let's talk about the layer that most preppers completely ignore until they're 6 weeks into eating beans and oats and wondering why they feel so miserable, and that's the flavor and snack layer. Kirkland Signature Organic Maple Syrup in the 33.8-ounce bottle has a property that almost nobody knows about. Pure maple syrup, because of its extremely high sugar concentration, essentially does not expire. It can crystallize over time, but a brief warm water bath returns it to perfect liquid consistency. That means this is a sweetener you can store indefinitely, and at a current price of $13.99 versus $26 or more post-discontinuation, stocking several bottles is a completely sound financial decision. Beyond sweetening oats and coffee, it works in marinades, glazes, baking, and as a quick high-calorie energy source when you need fast fuel. Kirkland Signature Organic Tortilla Chips in the 40-ounce bag are on this list for a reason that goes beyond snacking. Calorie-dense, shelf-stable for up to a year sealed, and made from just corn, oil, and salt, they serve as emergency energy food that requires zero preparation, zero cooking, zero cleanup. In a power-out or high-stress scenario, the psychological value of having something crunchy and satisfying cannot be overstated. They also function as a meal component. Nachos, chicken coatings, casserole toppings, crushed into soups for texture. At $5.99 for 40 ounces compared to $8 or more for a smaller non-organic bag after discontinuation, this is as close to a no-brainer as this list gets. And rounding out the 11 is Kirkland Signature Organic Salsa in the 2-pack of 38-ounce jars. This one deserves recognition for what it does to every other item on this list. Salsa on quinoa turns it from a grain side dish into a complete meal. Salsa on black beans instantly becomes a taco filling. Salsa stirred into tomato sauce deepens the flavor. Salsa on eggs in the morning makes a protein-rich breakfast feel like restaurant food. The natural preservatives in salsa, tomatoes, vinegar, salt,
give it an 18-month shelf life unopened, often significantly longer. And at $7.99 for 76 ounces compared to what single-serve or smaller packs will cost per ounce after this format is discontinued, the value is almost laughably good. Keep 2 jars in the pantry, 1 open in the fridge, and rotate constantly. Now that you know exactly what to buy, let's talk about how to actually build this stockpile in a way that works, because buying smart is only half the equation. The other half is storing and managing what you buy so that nothing goes to waste and your investment actually pays off over time. The single most important concept in smart stockpiling is the rotating pantry, and it's simpler than it sounds. The principle is first in, first out. Every time you bring new products home, they go to the back of the shelf or the bottom of the sack. Everything that's already there moves to the front. You always eat from the front, meaning you always eat the oldest items first and the newest purchases wait their turn. This one system eliminates the biggest fear most people have about stockpiling, which is that food will expire before they use it. With a rotating pantry, your stockpile isn't a static emergency supply gathering dust in a closet. It's a living, actively used extension of your regular kitchen that happens to also serve as a financial and nutritional buffer against whatever comes next. The practical setup for this is straightforward. Dedicate specific shelf space, even just 1 or 2 shelves in a pantry, basement, or spare closet, exclusively to your rotating stock. Label shelves by category: oils and fats, proteins, grains, flavor boosters. When you shop, put new items directly onto those shelves in the back, then cook with whatever's at the front. The system takes about 10 minutes to set up and almost no time to maintain once it's running. Now let's talk about storage specifics, because not everything stores the same way, and getting this right is what separates a 3-month buffer from a 3-year one. For your grains, the rolled oats especially, the gold standard storage method is a food-grade 5-gallon bucket with a gamma seal lid and an oxygen absorber inside. Oxygen is the primary enemy of long-term grain storage. It feeds insects, drives oxidation, and dramatically
Remove it with an oxygen absorber, seal the bucket tightly, store it somewhere with stable, cool temperatures away from direct light, and your oats can genuinely last decades. For everyday use, scoop into a smaller jar kept in the kitchen so you're not constantly opening the main storage bucket. Oils are different. Both coconut oil and olive oil are sensitive to light, heat, and air. Keep unopened bottles in the coolest, darkest location you have: a basement, a lower kitchen cabinet away from the stove, even a cool closet. Never store oils above or next to your oven, and never leave them on a sunny countertop. Within those simple parameters, both oils will hold their quality well through their full shelf life. For coconut oil in particular, don't be alarmed when it transitions between solid and liquid depending on room temperature. That's completely normal and has no impact on quality. For canned goods, tomato sauce, black beans, chicken stock, salsa, the main things to watch for are physical damage to the can itself, not the printed date on the label. A can that's intact, properly sealed, shows no signs of rust, swelling, or denting at the seam, and has been stored in a cool, dry place is almost certainly safe and good well past its best-by date. Canned acidic foods like tomatoes and salsa are particularly shelf-stable due to their natural chemistry. Don't throw away perfectly good food because of an arbitrary printed date. For maple syrup and peanut butter, keep them cool, keep them sealed, and they will outlast most of the other things in your kitchen by a significant margin. Now here's where it all comes together: actually eating this food. Because the most beautifully organized stockpile in the world is useless if you don't know how to turn it into satisfying, nourishing meals. And the good news is that the 11 items on this list were specifically chosen because they combine naturally and deliciously in ways that cover every meal of the day. Start your morning with a bowl of rolled oats cooked in water or chicken stock. Yes, chicken stock oats are a real thing and they're savory and wonderful, topped with a drizzle of maple syrup. Or go cold with overnight oats, prepped the night before in a jar, requiring 0 cooking in the morning. If you want something protein heavier, scrambled eggs cooked in coconut oil with salsa on top is a complete, satisfying breakfast that takes under 5 minutes. For lunch, think black bean bowls. Canned black beans rinsed and warmed or eaten cold over a base of quinoa, topped with salsa and a drizzle of olive oil. Add a handful of tortilla chips on the side or crushed on top for texture and calories. This is a complete protein meal with healthy fats, complex carbs, and fiber. It takes about 12 minutes to put together and costs roughly $1.50 per serving from your stockpile.
Dinner is where the tomato sauce, chicken stock, and peanut butter earn their place. Use tomato sauce as the base for a black bean chili with quinoa stirred in for body. Use chicken stock to braise black beans low and slow with salsa and spices until they're rich and creamy. Make a peanut sauce from peanut butter thinned with a little chicken stock, drizzled over oats or quinoa for a surprisingly satisfying savory bowl. The combinations are genuinely endless, and the more you cook from this pantry, the more creative and confident you'll become with it. And when cooking feels like too much, when life is busy or the power is out or you just need something quick, the tortilla chips, peanut butter, and salsa are all ready to eat straight from the container. That's your emergency no-cook meal, and it's more calorie and nutrient dense than most things people eat on a regular basis. Here's the final thing to understand, and it's important. The window on these products is not theoretical, it's real and it's closing. Costco's discontinuation decisions happen at the corporate level, quietly and without warning to shoppers. One week, these items are on the shelf. The next week, there's a different product in their place, often smaller, cheaper in quality, and more expensive per ounce. And what happens to the discontinued product? It shows up on Amazon and specialty food sites at 2 to 3 times the Costco price, if it shows up at all. Sometimes the exact product simply disappears from the market, and you're stuck buying an inferior replacement forever. The people who win in this scenario are the ones who acted before the discontinuation happened, not the ones who noticed the gap on the shelf and scrambled afterward. By the time most shoppers realize what's gone, the opportunity to buy at bulk pricing is already over. So here's your concrete action plan. On your next Costco trip, not someday, not eventually, your next trip, pick up at least 3 or 4 items from this list. You don't need to buy everything at once. Start with the ones that align most closely with how you already eat. Build from there, 1 or 2 items per trip, until your rotating pantry is stocked to a level that gives you genuine peace of mind. The investment is modest. The return in food security, nutritional quality, money saved, and stress reduced is enormous. And unlike the chaos of panic buying, this approach is calm, strategic, and sustainable. You won't be scrambling when the shelves clear. You'll be the person